Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to arm you with a mental tool that will literally change how you see the world. We're diving into the critical difference between correlation and causation. And trust me, once you get this, you'll become a much smarter consumer of news, studies, and pretty much all data. So, what's the game plan? First, we'll kick things off with a bizarre story about storks and babies. Then we'll nail down exactly what we mean by correlation and causation. After that, we're going to expose the hidden troublemakers that trip people up. Then we'll check out how scientists actually find the real why, and we'll wrap up by giving you what I like to call a new superpower for spotting bad data. All right, let's start with a really strange but true story from European history. I know, it sounds completely ridiculous, right? A fairy tale, but believe it or not, for a long time, the data coming out of several European countries seemed to suggest, yeah, maybe they do. And here's the thing. The data was undeniable. When the number of storks in an area went up, so did the number of human babies. And when stork numbers went down, the birth rate dropped right alongside it. The two numbers were moving together in perfect lockstep. So what was really going on here? Okay, to solve this whole stork mystery, we need to get our definitions straight. It's time to be crystal clear on the two big ideas at the heart of all this: correlation and causation. Okay, so on one side, you've got correlation. That's just a relationship. It means two things change together. They move in sync. But causation, well, that's a whole different level. Causation means one thing makes the other thing happen. It's a direct cause and effect link. One is the trigger, the other is the result. So how do we actually measure how tightly two things are connected? Well, we need a score, right? Statisticians use this neat tool called the Pearson correlation coefficient, but you'll almost always just see it as the letter R. It's just one number, but it tells us a ton. So if R equals +1, that's a perfect positive correlation. On a graph, the dots would form a perfect straight line going up. When A goes up, B goes up in perfect predictable step. And if R is -1, it's the exact opposite, a perfect negative correlation. The link is just as strong, but as A goes up, B goes down, again in a perfectly straight line on a graph. And in R of 0, that means there's nothing, no relationship at all. If you plotted the data, it would just look like a random cloud of dots. No line, no pattern. Now, in the real world, these perfect scores are super rare. Researchers get really excited by an R value of, say, 0.8. That's considered very strong. Something like a 0.2, though, that's a pretty weak link. All right, now we know what correlation is and how we measure it. So let's get back to our mystery. It's time to reveal why even a super strong correlation, like the one with the storks and babies, is not enough to prove causation. This phrase right here is the single most important rule in all of statistics. You should burn it into your brain. Just because two things move together, it absolutely does not mean one is causing the other. And there are two big reasons why. So let's meet our two main culprits, the hidden troublemakers that make correlations so deceptive. First, we have the third variable problem, and second, the directionality problem. First up, the third variable problem. This is when some hidden factor, or something you're not even measuring, is secretly pulling the strings on both variables you're looking at. It creates this illusion of a direct link between them. A classic example of this is the proven, strong, positive correlation between ice cream sales and violent crime. Seriously, when people buy more ice cream, the crime rate goes up. The data on this is crystal clear. So does eating a pint of ice cream make you want to go out and commit a crime? Of course not. The hidden third variable is hot weather. Heat makes people want to buy ice cream, and unfortunately, it also tends to increase crime rates. The heat is affecting both things, all on its own. And the storks. The third variable there was the economy. After the war, when the economy was good, people built more houses, which meant more chimneys for storks to nest on, and they also had more babies. See? Our second troublemaker is the directionality problem. This happens when you know two things are linked. There might even be a real causal relationship, but you just don't know which way the arrow is pointing. Is A causing B, or is B causing A? Check out this example. Study after study shows a correlation between low vitamin D levels and depression. But which way does it go? Does a lack of vitamin D actually cause depression? Or does being depressed lead you to do things, like staying inside all day, that cause you to have low vitamin D? Just by looking at the correlation, you have no way of knowing. So if just looking at correlations is so full of these traps, how do scientists ever prove that one thing actually causes another? How do they find the real why? Well, the answer is they have to move from just observing the world to actively experimenting with it. And as you can see here, these are two totally different approaches. Correlational research just looks for patterns. It often reflects the real world well, but our confidence in a true cause and effect link is pretty low. An experiment, though, its whole goal is to prove causality. It's designed for maximum confidence that one thing truly causes another. See, a real experiment has this powerful toolkit for finding the cause. You use random assignment to make sure your groups are identical from the start. You have a control group that gets nothing, or a placebo, so you have something to compare against. And this is the most important part. You only manipulate one single variable at a time to see what happens. By controlling everything else, you can be sure that any change you see is because of the one thing you changed. That is how you prove A causes B. Okay, so getting this difference isn't just for scientists. It is a powerful, practical superpower for thinking critically about all the information that gets thrown at you every single day. If you remember one single thing from our time today, make it this. A correlation is not enough to prove causation. But if a true causal link really exists, you will always find a correlation. Think of it this way. The correlation is the clue. It's the smoke, but it's not the fire. It's the starting point for an investigation, never the conclusion. So let's end with a little test. You see a headline that says, cities with more universities have higher crime rates. Now, before you jump to the crazy conclusion that education causes crime, use your superpower. What's the hidden third variable here? It's probably population density. Bigger cities just have more universities, and bigger cities, sadly, just have more crime. One isn't causing the other. They're both linked to that third factor. And asking that simple question, well, that's the key to seeing the truth behind the data.